This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself. Today we have an LG washing machine that won't drain. It has the OE error. So we're going to be pulling out the detergent drawer first. We got it unplugged. We're going to use a standard head screwdriver to pry off this spring clamp on the door boot. Pull that all the way off. And then we're going to just peel this door boot off of its metal rim, kind of push it in toward the middle. On a lot of these models, you can just tilt the machine back and do this whole thing from underneath. But since this one was on a pedestal, it made a little bit more sense to do it the traditional way, which is to remove the top panel and then to remove the front panel. So I'm just taking out the screws that hold on the door lock. And make sure you drain out all the water first through the little black tube located behind the drawer in the lower left-hand corner. Here's a little machine screw. There's two of these we're taking out. They have finer threads and they don't have a pointy tip, so that's just to help you remember where they go when you do the reinstall. And take out these two longer screws that are stainless steel to resist the detergent. These are right in front of right behind the detergent drawer. Those two out, and we're going to pull this door back. You want to use a standard head screwdriver just to get that door back. That's where that little black tube is that you can use to drain out all the water. So I'm going to take out this screw, Phillips head, and I'm going to pull this door plastic cover assembly out. Pull the little black tube free from that hole, and there is a small Phillips head screw located underneath that's holding on the front panel, the bottom of the front panel. So I'll take out that screw. Just make sure it's unplugged. So I'm going to remove two Phillips head screws from the back holding on the top panel. There's one at the top, one at the bottom. You just want to remove the one at the bottom. There's one there. And then there's one here on the right side. And then we want to get the top panel off. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get these things to budge. They might have been there for years and years. So I'm going to just gently pry up with my standard head screwdriver on the edges here to kind of break it loose. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure here. Just take your time, be gentle. And then the whole top panel will move back about an inch. Then you should be able to lift it off. Remove this little Phillips head screw here holding on the top console, and then take your time using a standard head screwdriver. Don't break the plastic, but just gently pry back to get the plastic to come off of the metal rim. It will come off. Just take your time, do a little bit at a time. Just don't want to break the plastic. I'd like to start on the left-hand side like we see here in the video and then kind of work my way toward the right. Has little plastic tabs that they will come loose. Just takes a little bit of force. Then I'll pull up on this console and I'll put it up out of the way here on top. Then I have 4 Phillips head screws I need to remove that are holding on the top of the front panel. These look different too. They have a hexagonal shape for a 1/4 inch driver for removal. So to help you remember. Actually, I guess there's 5 of them, 3 here and then 2 on the other side. And once those are off, we should be able to hinge the
front panel back toward us at an angle. And then it's pretty easy to remove it off of. There's 3 little clips at the bottom that you just lift it off of. Just going to pull it back. And the boot's still holding it on a little bit, so I'm going to reach down and just push that boot in to make it let go. There we go. Now I can lift it off of those 3 clips down at the bottom. And now that that's out of the way, it's going to be really easy to get to the pump. Again, usually you can just tilt the machine back and you can do all this. So I'm going to take off these 2 screws that are holding on the pump assembly. There's actually 2 motors. There's one on the right, one on the left. The one on the left is the one we want to replace. Take up this hose clamp, and we're going to pull up this hose. This is for the recirculation motor here. This one's doing fine. We're just disconnecting its power though, so we can get the whole assembly out. Make sure you don't replace that one because it's probably fine. It's the one on the left that's the drain motor. Use a standard head screwdriver to kind of pry up on that hose to get it going. These rubber hoses get stuck over the ears. That came off pretty good. I'll use my pliers now to depress this green rubber piece that's the drain hose that takes the water away from the drain. I'm going to lift it up and then kind of twist and lift that rubber boot off. This bigger one here in the back, that's the water coming from the tub to the drain motor, and I'm going to push it away from me. That released. So I'll lift up now, I'll twist on this green one, and I have all the hoses off. So now there's a little plastic tab I have to release underneath the drain assembly. I'm going to take a standard head screwdriver. You can kind of see it in the video. I'm going to stick it in there and push down, and then I'll push the drain assembly away from me toward the back of the washing machine. There we go. And there's that little tab right there. Push down. Okay, now I'm going to lift the whole thing out of the washing machine by going a little bit to the right where there's more room to get it out. And then I'm going to disconnect these 2 wires. They're the ones going to bring power to the pump. Here is the part number. We'll put a link in the description below. But these are very inexpensive pumps. I wish they'd last a little longer, but they're easy to replace. So I'm kind of looking at the alignment. I noticed that both of these pumps are up at about 45 degrees in relation to the pump housing or the coin trap housing. So I have to remember that when I put on the new one. I'm going to take out the 3 Phillips head screws that are holding it on. And then I'll kind of wiggle it out toward me to get the old pump off. There we go, just checking on with the impeller, turning that, see how it feels. Feels pretty good, but not quite the same as the new pump. So now I'm going to just check how the screws were in the old pump and match that with the new pump. There's just 3 screws holding it in. It has this plastic cover too that I need to pry off with a standard head screwdriver to put onto the new one. So I got that going and just got to wiggle it off. Use a little bit more of prying with the standard head screwdriver. There we go. And I'll go ahead and put this same cover on the new pump, the new motor. So push it all the way on, clicks into place. And now I can put this new pump onto the pump assembly. So I want to get that 45-degree angle going up toward like 10:30 on a clock. I want to make sure I get all this junk out of here where the pump sits. Sometimes you'll find some sand in there. So I'm going to line it up. I can see where the old screws used to go. I'm going to kind of wiggle it in, and then I'll tighten it with the Phillips head screwdriver. You don't want to do it too tight because you can strip out the plastic. So get it snug all the way down, and then just snug. If you do it by hand with a Phillips head screwdriver, it might be better, so you have a little bit better control over how much torque. There we go. So there's the correct relation of the pump to the pump housing up at about 45 degrees on both sides. That looks correct. Looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and put these two wires on the pump. It doesn't matter which way they go. There's no polarity issue. Just make sure they're on there really snug. That's bringing power to the pump. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put that assembly back in by going in toward the right first, where there's a little bit more room to get it in there. But this is the little drain hose. I'm putting it back through its hole. I'm going to work the wire out of the way up over the coin trap opening. There we go. There's a little place for that wire. Okay, now I'm going to fit the bottom of that coin trap housing back into that slot, that white slot at the bottom. Push it all the way in, lock it in, and then I'll go ahead and add 2 screws to hold the pump into position. There we go. Okay, now this big hose, this one connects to the back of the coin trap. So I'm going to squeeze this spring clamp all the way as tight as it can go. And then I'm going to get the rubber opening back up over the plastic part of the coin trap. I'm going to wiggle it, make sure it's seating correctly. You could even lubricate the inside of that rubber with some liquid detergent first. It makes it even easier. Get it in position as far toward me as it'll go. I'll let go my pliers. That's a nice tight grip so it won't leak. Looks good. So I'm going to put on the green one now. Kind of wiggle and push that all the way down, and then we'll tighten up that spring clamp. Squeeze with the pliers, and then I'm going to move it all the way down as far as it'll go. There we go. So that one's on. This is the recirculation hose that goes on the other motor. Put that on there. And same thing, I'll squeeze that spring clamp, get it all the way down. Got it. Okay, let me add the power wires back onto the recirculation pump. Again, I'm going to take my time and make sure I got them on there nice and snug. And either wire can go to either terminal. Don't have to have it a certain way. Just get it nice and snug. So I got my wires on the power for the pump. I've got the green one on, got the black one on. Nice and tight. Just checking everything. Got the recirculation hose, got the power to the recirculation pump. Looks good. So I'm going to put the front panel back on. I put it back on its little prongs there at the bottom, and then I'm going to push it shut, line everything up, and then I'll add those 5 screws in that hold the top of the panel. There we go. And I'll speed up the film here a little bit so as we get these in. Remember, these have like a hexagonal top to them, and there's 5 of them that have the same appearance. This one I'm going to push down a little bit on the metal to make it line up. There we go. All right. So I'm going to put these plastic tabs into these holes for the console. Push it down in there and kind of wiggle it in, put a little pressure in the base of it where my thumbs are. Push that in, and then I'm going to grab it at the top and click it in. That looks good, nice and tight. Everything's lined up. I have that little screw behind the console on the right side that holds it in. There we go. So these are those longer stainless steel screws that are holding in the console underneath the detergent drawer. They're longer, and they have a kind of aggressive thread pattern because they're going into plastic. There we go. I'm going to put the detergent drawer back in. And these are the machine screws. They have the finer thread. I put those back in. So now we're going to grab the lock assembly, and we're going to line it back up and just add the 2 Phillips head screws that hold it in. This is the back of it, so we'll flip it around. There's the opening, that's the front. We'll line that up. Add in those 2 Phillips head screws. There we go. Now we're just going to take this boot and get it back over the metal rim, and it should just take you a couple minutes to do this. You just use 2 hands, and I'm going to push up over the rim and just work it around inch by inch. You do want to make sure it's all the way on there for the full circumference all the way around. So one hand kind of lifts it up over, and the other thumb pushes it into position. I did have a video portion here of how we put the big spring clamp back on, but I can't find it, so I'll just kind of describe it when we get to that part. That part sometimes is good to use another set of hands to help you, but you can do it by yourself. I think it's good to lubricate the metal spring clamp first by coating it with liquid detergent so it's kind of slippery. It makes it a lot easier. And then once you have it all lubricated, you take the spring clamp and get the spring down at the 6 o'clock position below, and you put the spring clamp on starting at 12 o'clock. You put it into the rubber ridge, and then you get your thumbs to go down at about 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and you start pushing down and out to get that spring to go back up over the 6 o'clock position, the lowest aspect of that rubber gasket. You could even use a standard head screwdriver to help you at the end. But again, another set of hands can make it a lot easier. So we're just testing it out now. We're running a cycle to make sure that it can drain. Here's the old motor. It's always fun to kind of take a look at these and see what might have gone wrong. So I use a standard head screwdriver to pry the impeller portion out. What I found is it was just full of some kind of weird black gunk. I don't know what it is, dirt or water or rubber, but definitely was part of the problem. These pumps just don't last as long as they should. The other aspects of the LG washer is really good. I think it's a good machine. The direct drive is super cool, but these pumps just do not last. I'm having bad luck with them. I think washing clothes with a lot of sand in it, though, is definitely a problem for these pumps. So I would always watch out for that. So I've often found sand in here. So we're just doing a little more reassembly. We're putting that bottom Phillips head screw back in that holds the bottom of the front panel on. I'm going to take the plastic piece here and feed the hose through that hole. And we'll get this thing back in. Just push it in, and then there's actually a screw that holds it in too at the bottom. So we tested this, we filled it up with water and then set it to spin, and it drained really good, really fast. I think the owner said, though, that they bought this one secondhand, and they felt that it might have been maybe 10 years old before this pump went out. So that's actually pretty good. So we're just putting in those two Phillips head screws on the back that hold the back of the front panel. Get the front panel slid back into position, and we're just tightening those screws to hold it. And it's doing the spin and drain, and we are done. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching our video. We really appreciate your support. And when you get a chance, please press the subscribe button below so you can be subscribed, and also the notification bell so we can send you more videos about appliance repair. Please also give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you really liked the video and it really helped you, please press this new applaud button and you can show your support and also get a nice clapping hands for your video. Thanks again.